What's up, everybody? This is the Brownwater Banter podcast. Been on a bit of a hiatus lately. Haven't posted one of these since I think March. Did one with Stephen Lawson right before he went to San Diego. Not even sure what episode number we're on, but I'm sitting here today with Kevin Harris, a gentleman that I am not unfamiliar doing podcasts with, as he's been a guest on Brownwater Banter already once before, and this will be the second time. You were on there with Chad. Yeah. Okay,
I was the Google expert.
That's right. You were real silent on that episode.
That I was.
I kind of forgot. And also, we co-host together. The reason that I haven't been doing as many of these Brownwater Banter podcasts, we co-host another podcast that is also live streamed that is music related called The Sound, and it has eaten up a ton of my time, and it is very much fun. But I was like, man, I got to get back in here and do a Brownwater because I really love doing these, and I've been kind of neglecting them. So I phoned up Kevin today.
And all I was doing was eating Taco Bell, so I'm good.
And you got the remnants of it still sitting here. But I think today I want to talk to you. Let's just chat it up, about this podcast is, Biloxi kind of Mississippi Gulf Coast based, but the music scene. I mean, it falls right in line with the other podcasts that we do. But I kind of like give just you and I, without a guest or a band or a musician, to kind of like just, riff on what we think's going on, the way it used to be, and with the current state of the music scene around here. Where do you think we're at? I mean, good, bad, indifferent. What do you think?
I don't think it's bad. I think from the steps that have been made over the last year and a half, it's starting to get better. Mm-hmm. For instance, when we're recording this right now, there's a couple shows tonight that I have seen just getting blasted all over Facebook, and you didn't see that, 12 months ago. You didn't see the activity of other bands being with other bands and helping each other out. So if there wasn't a band playing tonight, hey, show some love, go check these guys out, or things like that. So I'm starting to see an upswing compared to where it was 12, 13, 14 months ago. Mm-hmm. So that's a positive sign for it. And then we got wrapped up into one today about a throwback show at the old Jam Room.
I saw that.
So that would be interesting to see how that unfolds.
Is that what he was suggesting?
I think he's got a room. He said it's got a bar.
Okay.
So
for people listening, another friend of ours in the music community, Dave Toronto, who has the Toronto's over in D'Iberville, posted on Facebook asking, and he tagged a ton of musicians, asking people if they wanted to do a kind of like a reunion jam fest deal at this old place where we all used to practice. Where were we?
Talking about the Jam Room.
Yeah, we had a little interruption there. A bunch of bands used to practice out of that place, and he's talking about getting together and doing a jam show, I guess, in that room, which I think would be hilariously fun.
I think it would be fun. I remember the Jam Room, and you guys got to understand, I'm not a musician. I don't play music. I play music, but I don't play the music.
Right.
But to be a part of that, I remember going into those jam rooms or that jam room, and the couches everywhere, and just drum sets everywhere, and just the smell of beer and whatever else was on in there.
But it was fun.
Watching UFC fights, watching whatever football, all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, it was a good vibe in that room, even though it smelled like a locker room. It was a creative space, and I missed that place. It was fun. But if that was to happen, I think that'd be a damn good time. I know when I was thinking about this earlier, about us doing this, I started thinking because you probably remember the music scene a little further back than when I remember getting old enough to come out and start hanging out and doing shit, right?
Right.
Where does the music scene for you start? In what you can remember? Where's the first time? Because you already mentioned you don't play music, and I want to talk about that as well. But where do you remember young Special K when he first cut his teeth? And I guess going out and seeing shows was your thing, right?
Yeah, and I guess if you go back so the first show down here that I remember, outside of any major concerts or anything like that, there used to be a bar in Gulfport. It was called Knockouts. It was Senor Frogs, then it turned into Knockouts, then it turned into something else. Now it's not there anymore. I was actually a bouncer there, and The band that came through was Glen Matina.
Did you ever kick anybody's ass?
No, I got my ass kicked quite a
Okay.
bit.
All right. Okay.
No, we had our shares. We had the hockey team that always came in, and so we just let them do all the ass kicking. We just picked up the pieces.
Whereabout was that at though? Again in Gulfport.
So it was.
It's not ringing a bell.
All right. So if you go, it's really hard to see. But if you were to take Pass Road and go north on Cow and Lorraine,
Yes.
that first bridge you come to, if you look to the left, there's like a little island out there.
Yeah.
That's where it was at. It was a 2-story building sitting right on the river. I mean, we had drunk people that got in trouble, and when they tried to run from us, they'd jump into the river or in the bayou and try to go across to the little island.
Is it still there? Or is it
no,
not?
the building's not there
Okay,
yet.
okay. All right. That bitch.
But my first show that I saw there, which is the first one that made me really start digging into local music, it was Creed, who it was their first show out of Florida.
What?
On the My Own Prison tour.
There?
Yes. And opening for them was Three Doors Down and Level with the Ground. So that first time into
Dude, I never knew that.
into that rock scene for me.
This is before you worked at the radio station.
This was before I was at the radio. It was probably a couple years before I was at the radio station. Maybe about a year or so. But yeah, so that show, it was Creed, and that's why I always find it funny is when Three Doors Down finally got signed, their first tour, they were opening up for Creed.
Yeah.
And the first time I ever saw Three Doors Down, they were opening up for Creed at this place called Knockouts.
I wonder if that's why once Creed really blew up that they always played the Coliseum. I say always. I know at least of one time they did. Twice maybe. That they played the Coliseum. I remember they were played with Jimmy's Chicken Shack and Figure 11.
Yeah.
But maybe that's why, I guess, because it wasn't a new town for them. You know?
No, it wasn't. I mean, there's a couple bands out of Florida that are big now that broke their teeth here on the coast with their first show was out of Florida. Creed was one. Nonpoint was another. Nonpoint played on the beach at Barracuda Beach Club, 4th of July weekend, a little stage, 30 people, and that was Nonpoint's first show in Mississippi after coming out of Florida.
Wow.
So, yeah. So
who put the Creed show on? Do you remember?
Glen Matina.
Okay.
Yeah, so Glen Matina's done, man, I'm going to tell you what. Let's see. You can go to AMF, Alternative Music Festival, Point Cadet Plaza. It was pre-CPR Fest. The headliner was Seven Dust. But the bands that played it were like Aisle 9 and stuff like that. So you had, that's where I think, now I'm going to try to tell this, and I'm probably going to screw it up somewhere along the line. But Kenny Vest and them, who started CPR,
right,
came from Zephyr, the Zephyr in New Orleans, and they had Zephyr Fest.
Is that a radio station?
It was 106. I think it was 106.7 the Zephyr, and then it was 106.7 the End.
Yes, I do remember the End.
So
yes.
I think before the End it was the Zephyr. I may have the dial numbers wrong, but
who cares?
But Kenny and Scott Fox and them were at the Zephyr.
Okay.
And they had Zephyr Fest. So when they came over here and started CPR, they started CPR Fest. But before that, there was AMF, which was Alternative Music Festival down at Point Cadet Plaza. Seven Dust was the headliner of the very first one, and I believe that was Seven Dust's first show inside of Mississippi, if I remember correctly.
Do you remember about what year this would have been, roughly? Pre-2000?
Oh, yeah, pre-2000.
Okay.
96, 97 maybe.
What year did CPR Fest start? Do you remember? It was early 90s, right?
90,
5, 6?
No, hold on. And now you're going to make me get on my phone.
That's okay.
I'm trying to remember because I came into CPR my first CPR Fest was CPR Fest 3. So I started with CPR in 99 or 98.
Mm-hmm.
So it was already 2 years before that, so 97, 96. So maybe AMF was like 95 because it was pre-CPR Fest.
Right. Damn, I don't remember hearing that name. I remember hearing about shows that were at Point Cadet.
Right.
Boyd talks about a lot of them that were down there. I think I remember Rev Theory played one of them, which wouldn't have been as early as what you're talking about.
No, it was the Rev Theory one was actually the one that I helped put together with the radio station, but it was the night before Katrina. It was yes, positive.
Okay.
It was Rev Theory and Hinder with some local acts. It wasn't wasn't that one. It wasn't the Homegrown Show Live, but I'm trying to remember, it was a benefit that we had done.
Okay.
But Hinder was the headliner.
Katrina
Rev Theory
was on
opener.
a Tuesday though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you.
I'm hitting you.
No,
Might have been that weekend.
yeah, it was I don't want to say it was exactly the day before.
Right,
Maybe
right.
it was like 36 hours before
Right.
or
That makes
something
more
like
sense.
that.
Yeah.
Because I remember when the show was over with, I was staying at the Palace, and we all went to the Z Club at the Palace and had the after party.
Yes.
Then the next day, everybody went out of town, and I think it was that night or that afternoon that Katrina made the turn. So it was about 36 hours or so right before that.
I do remember seeing Rev Theory there. I'm pretty confident that I did. I think Mikey and J Bob might have played that show with Fall as Well.
Fall as Well, yes.
But so anyway, that was another place where concerts were had.
Right.
Was out there.
Right.
I'm assuming y'all rented the stage, right? Set it up, sound, the whole nine.
They handle. That was the cool thing when you were with the station is I didn't have to handle a lot of that.
Right.
They handled the salespeople and
Did
all that kind of stuff. And
there's some video on YouTube. I don't remember what the name of the show was, but it was at Point Cadet, and Jay Patrick's is playing, and this is like 94, 5, 6, whatever year, in his band at whatever that was at the time. It's on YouTube.
It could quite possibly be that AMF.
Yeah.
That's the time. I'm telling you, I wish I could reach out to Glenn and get the dates on all of that.
Do you have any photos of that Creed show?
Photos? No.
Damn.
I mean, at that time,
I know. I was gonna say, if anybody's listening, it's like under 20. I don't know what number, 22, 1, whatever. It's like there used to be a time when you went to places and you didn't have a camera on you.
Right.
And no one gave a shit to take pictures of stuff. I wonder if Glenn does. He may.
I'm sure. I am pretty sure that Glenn.
We need to reach out to him and see if we can get some photos
we could probably get something.
That would be crazy to see.
Somebody posted on his page a long time ago. Actually had the AMF poster and who all played it and everything. And
what did that stand for? Did you already say that?
Alternative Music Festival.
And that was his thing.
Yes.
That was his brand or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
if you think about some of the stuff and talking about Glenn and the era that I was in with him, he did Creed at Knockouts. He did the Deftones on the Beach.
Oh, that was Glenn too?
That was Glenn
I didn't
too.
know that. I hear about that show all the time.
Yes.
That was, again, before I would have been probably really old enough to get out and
Glenn
go.
Mattina did Chevelle and Stone Sour.
I was at that one.
At the convention center. That was a Glenn Mattina show.
Yep.
So, and the good thing is he's starting to get that itch. I mean, he does Atlas Fights.
Yeah.
He does all this other stuff, does the Oyster Festival and things like that, but he's getting that itch to start doing concerts again. So,
well,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's other
we
people
talked about
concerts too. Just saying.
There's enough to go around, I can tell you, because again, that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about this, because I just kind of feel maybe it's a little bit lacking now, meaning I don't feel like there's as much of that happening.
There really isn't. You don't see a lot of the. So I'll throw another example at you. Thunder's Tavern.
Yep.
I hit gold one night when I had Buck Cherry there.
Yep.
I had Buck Cherry there the day Crazy Bitch hit #1 on the radio. We had 820 people inside Thunder's Tavern.
You got lucky that day.
I did.
Tell that story.
So that story goes. I like to brag about it, but I don't like to brag about it because. So here's what happened: is Buck Cherry originally, when they came out with their new album, they wanted to come out with their single "Sorry."
Right.
Ballad, really good song. We were at the radio station. We were in the trailers because this was after Katrina, and their record rep called us, and Maynard just happened to be. I don't know. I took the call. I don't know if Maynard was gone or how it all worked out. And she's like, so what do you think of Sorry? And I said, well, I was listening to Sirius the other night or XM or whatever I was listening to. And I said, Crazy Bitch is the single. I said, that thing is, you get an edited version of that and you're on fire.
Right.
And that's what they went with. I'm not saying they went with it because that's what I said.
Right. But it is what you said.
But it is what I said. And when they played Pascagoula, I had to go pick them up from their hotel. And when I introduced myself, Josh Todd, the lead singer of Buck Cherry, was like, "You're the one that said go with Crazy Bitch." I'm like, "Oh, well, yeah, I was."
Yeah.
So, so you've been to Thunder's Tavern.
Yes. Many times.
So you know where the front door is, where people walk in at.
Yes.
So imagine a line from there to the red light down at that other corner and going down the next street. That's what we had when Buck Cherry played.
That's a line.
Chris Henderson and Brad from Three Doors were there. They were sitting on the Jack Daniels pool table watching the show.
Do you remember about what year that was?
After Katrina.
I wasn't at that one. I know I wasn't.
I've actually got pictures of it that probably have the date stamped on it.
You shared some of them, yeah.
Maybe.
Yep.
No, it would have been prior 2000. When was Katrina? 2005?
Yeah.
So probably 2006. 2000s. Yeah, because we were still in the trailers after Katrina, so probably early 2006, something like that. So, but yeah, and then after that, there was a gentleman named Russell Dusson who had Blue Deuce Entertainment, which Blue Deuce Entertainment has now been sold to Live Nation. He's one of the presidents of the New Orleans chapter of Live Nation.
Okay.
All that.
That sounds cool.
Handling the Fillmore shows and stuff like that now.
Kevin Goals.
And Smoothie King and anything that happens at Champion Square, he's on top of all that. He was booking shows at Thunders. He booked Candlebox. Candlebox ended up canceling, but he brought in Hinder and Rev Theory on their Girls Gone Wild tour. He brought them in there, and then he started to team up with Red Mountain, I think is the name of it, out of Alabama.
Okay.
And they just kind of grew together, and they started. So he ended up being the one that did the beer festivals that were happening at the convention center for a few years in a row. You go in, you got your little sippy cup that you get to sample all the beers and everything.
Okay, maybe I do
So
remember
Blue Deuce
that.
Entertainment, or him, he was handling those. He did that, and he had gotten out of concerts and was doing that and let the Live Nation handle the concerts. So you had that, and I think what helped with the scene a lot with that was the radio station was really heavily involved with the local music scene.
Yeah, they were.
You had the Homegrown Show. You had
Who do you
Battle of the Bands to
Yeah.
play the Crawfish Festival, and I hated Battle of the Bands. I always got the blame, but I hated.
Well,
them,
we did a guitar competition for the other podcast that Kevin and I do, The Sound, and we blatantly we made it very obvious this is not necessarily a competition, even though that's what we're kind of calling it.
Right.
And it was more about everybody hanging out, meet and greet kind of thing, and we wanted people to debut their talents, you know what I mean? But you're right, it can get a little hairy when you do those things. People get pissed, people get mad. It creates kind of a divide among the bands that are around
Stupid
here.
ass hosts get drunk and introduce the wrong or name the wrong bands.
You call out the wrong winner sometimes, but we aren't going to talk about that. It happens.
Yeah.
But you're right. The radio station then was very pro local music, I felt like, and I think that was super cool back then. That was kind of my late teens, early 20s, and
Right.
I always thought that was awesome. We had Derek Norsworthy on The Sound talk about how, and he's now in Nashville doing stuff, recording and whatever, talk about how much that meant to him to get on the Homegrown Show. And for people that don't know, that used to be Sunday nights at 6,
Well,
7.
it was Sunday nights at 7.
You could. It was an hour long of only local bands, and that was, like I said, my early 20s when I was first starting to play in bands. And man, when your song got played on the radio station around here, got a spin on the Homegrown Show, I can remember that, dude. It felt like you had won the lottery.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I don't know. I guess I got lucky and caught the Homegrown Show at its peak, or maybe it got to its peak with me, but Kevin Cruz was the original host of the Homegrown Show. Used to do the morning shows, no longer with us anymore. After him
was it Rebecca?
Well, yeah, it was him, and the morning show on that station was Cruz and Chuck.
Okay.
And then Rebecca joined them a little bit.
Was that Rebecca Powers?
Yes, Rebecca Powers.
Yeah.
So, and at that time it was Rebecca Allen.
Right.
So it was Cruz and Chuck and Rebecca. Kevin Cruz did the Homegrown Show, and then after him was Sammy Lee, Snack Bar. Bobby Ganinin, he's now in Maryland. And then I think it was CPR Fest 4 or maybe even CPR Fest 5. He just came up to me and he's like, I don't want to do the homegrown show anymore. Will you start doing it?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, absolutely. So that caused me to dig more into the local music scene than I had ever dug before, because I needed to know a little more about the people, the bands, the venues, all that kind of stuff. So that led me to where I went.
You were I remember before I really knew you, you know, first time I even met you was like, you were the dude. Like, if you were in a local band, you got to talk to Kevin, because he's the one you got to get your music to, and he's the one that's going to get it on the radio. You know, you were the Don of that scene.
It was kind of like the idea of, and that's where I kind of got handicapped, was I wanted everybody to get the opportunity.
Yeah.
But I got handicapped because it was actually being played on the radio, so it had to have some okay quality to be able to play it.
I think there was a few that got through that didn't have.
Well, no, there was definitely a few.
Quality of recording is
right.
what I mean.
Yeah,
know?
But that's what I'm saying. And I dig back and I start thinking about some of the bands, and I don't know why they just popped into my head, but the band After Human that was out of,
I remember that name.
Out of Slidell. They played CPR Fest one year, and
really,
yeah,
that must have been one of the early ones.
That
right?
that was the year that I got handed the homegrown show,
because CPR Fest used to have multiple stages.
Yes,
which
so
is
you
super
had
cool.
You had, at one time, you had the main stage and you had the local stage.
Right.
So the main band would play, local band play, main band, and you had a local band headlining that stage. Then you had the main band.
I always think that is the coolest damn thing. I know some of the bigger tours did that for a while, like Warp Tours, or some of them would have a smaller stage while they would break down bands. The other bands would get to play.
Right,
you know,
and they even did it at Bayfest over in Mobile. So you had the big Pepsi stage and all of that, but you go down a little bit further.
Yep.
And that's where the local bands play. And if you were lucky enough, you got to open up the Pepsi stage.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of our bands from this area go through that one too.
Do you remember the benefit CD that you did?
I do. I still have it.
I have it somewhere. That was a CD they put out. All the proceeds went to, I believe, Katrina relief.
Yeah, Katrina relief.
And it was like 12, 15 songs from 12 or 15 different bands, and that was cool. My band was on there.
I remember everybody had to submit, and then it was me and I guess Maynard, and Kenny wasn't back yet, so I guess it was Jay Taylor at the time. And we sat in there and we listened to every single song, and it was, okay, this one moves to the next. This one we're going to move to the
I didn't
side.
know it was like that.
So we actually put some thought into,
Right.
and it wasn't one of those, oh, hey, we got 15 submissions, we got 15 slots on the CD.
Right.
No, there were bands that submitted that didn't make it.
Oh, wow.
So there was probably,
I feel cool now that I made it.
There was probably enough that submitted that we could have probably done a double CD,
right,
and gotten away with it. But we did what we did. But I think I've got like 3 copies of it still sitting in storage.
Yeah, I think I have one somewhere. But yeah. So you mentioned Knockouts. That was a place that did local music back then. What about Barracudas?
So you had Barracudas on the beach. So there was Barracudas, and then there was also across the street you had Studio 90.
It was a little down and across the street, but I know.
Yeah,
yeah,
but yes. So Barracudas had hold on, they had 3 doors down there. I'm trying to remember exactly how it went, and I'm not gonna. You got anybody who's listening is probably gonna go, no freaking way that happened. But 3 Doors Down had a song, Leaving London, or something about London.
Mm-hmm.
And when they played that show at Barracudas, Geddy Lee was there. Not Geddy Lee, the other guitarist for Rush.
Alex Lyson?
Yes.
He was there?
He was there and played on that song.
What the hell was he doing there?
He played on the song on the recording. If I remember everything correct,
yeah, that's
what happened.
But why was he at Barracudas that night?
I guess because 3 Doors was playing and they asked him to come do it. They were doing the CD release party
for
their
first
second,
CD?
the second.
And they were still playing at Barracudas?
Yeah, wasn't The Better Life. It was Away from the Sun. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Their first album sold 10 million copies.
They were loyal to the local community at that time.
Jesus, that's crazy.
So
what was the line like at that?
I don't even remember. I ain't gonna lie, I was drunk.
Yeah, well,
So.
damn, that's good. I didn't.
That's why I'm saying that maybe I may
would've
be a
thought
little
after
bit
that-
off, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I'm almost pretty sure I've got that
If
correct.
y'all are Googling right now and this is way off, we apologize.
Yeah.
You know, there's some Swiss cheese memories from back in the day for Kevin, but he's doing his best here. What did they have? Because again, Barracudas is a little before me. Did they have a lot of local music there?
They didn't do a lot of local music.
Okay.
I mean, it was a dance club, and every now and then they would throw a concert in there
Okay.
on a slower, what it would traditionally be a slower night. They had a nice little stage and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. Studio 90 now had two sides. They had one side that was a dance club, and they had the other side that was, and Studio 90 used to be an old theater.
That's right.
So it was this long hallway.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a theater, but it was a nice setup, had a nice stage at the end. I did some shows there. There was a band called Bowling for Soup. They're a punk band. Sing the song 1985 and a few others. They played there. There was a band called Beautiful Creatures that had DJ Ashba as the guitarist.
Okay.
And Kenny Queens from St. Martin as the bass player. They played there.
Okay.
And then we also had, I did some shows there with like Seven Left and Stereo Crisis and some other bands.
I can't remember if it was Seven Left or Level with the Ground because they were
So
mixed
seven,
matched.
so Seven Left. Okay, so there was Level with the Ground,
Right.
and then when Level with the Ground went their separate ways, Chris, the lead singer for Level with the Ground, joined up with Matt White and all of them and started Castor Troy.
That's right.
The guys from Level with the Ground, Heath Davis, Clay Davis, and Joe Franklin, they left, picked up Joe Lyons from Stereo Crisis, and started Seven Left.
Okay. I don't remember which one it was out of. I know it wasn't Castor Troy. I know that for a
Right.
fact. But talking about venues and music, concerts, whatever you want to call it. Cinco de Mayo, Cuco's on the beach.
Would probably have been Level with the Ground.
That sounds
Because
more.
Three Doors Down played Cuco's Cinco de Mayo a few times, too.
Really.
Yeah.
And it was Cuco's. They had it right there on the beach.
I loved it.
They had the stage.
Yes.
They had the beer vendors. They had it going on, man.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm putting too much nostalgia on it because I was younger and, it's like the first because I don't know. I'd have probably been 15 or younger at that point. I
Right.
don't remember. But, it just was so much fun. And I just remember seeing Level with the Ground and thinking, damn, these dudes are good.
Yep.
I really remember digging them.
Joe Franklin, to me, was probably one of the best guitarists on the coast that never got the credit that he deserved for being a good guitarist as he is.
Right.
He doesn't. He probably plays in his house, but he doesn't play in a band anymore. I ran into him a few months back at my work,
Uh-huh.
and we talked about everything except music.
Really?
How's life? How's the family? How the kids? All of that. Neither one of us mentioned music as far as all of that.
Life will do that to you.
Yeah, and it will. Matt White from Castor Troy is still playing. He's playing
Yep.
with Cole Jones.
Yep.
Mike Dunaway is still
Yep.
playing with Midnight Love. He was with Castor Troy. A few other people. But the guys from Level with the Ground, as far as I know, Heath and Clay aren't playing. Joe Franklin's not playing, and Chris Scott, I don't talk to him much anymore.
Yeah, but
So.
those were all really good bands that put out some really good music. But yeah, so like I don't really see. And again, I'm older now, and I've got
Don't go
commitments,
near
jobs,
as
and
much
and
as
I'm
we
not
do.
out as much as I used to be. But like I don't see that happening that I'm aware of, and that's why we've started this other podcast and this other live show and now concert promotions ourselves, is because I know the talent's here. The music is here between the Mississippi Gulf Coast, Mobile, Slidell and right into that New Orleans area.
Absolutely.
But shit, we even pulled out of San Antonio for our first show because
Yep.
it's just good music. Pensacola, Florida.
Yep.
But I don't know. I don't feel like it's there, and I feel like the venues aren't really there either. Now, there are some that are out there that are trying to do live music. It always usually ends up skewing towards cover bands, and I understand that. I get it. I totally understand that. It skews a little towards country music. That's, Boots and Spurs, I guess,
Yep.
going on and down in Ocean
Stagecoach.
Springs. Stagecoach, which they're always, man, they have some really good music there
And
too.
they're
By the way,
packed all the time.
They are. They that's a really good joint. But it doesn't have to be like super heavy rock or super heavy metal, but rock and metal. That's what I like, and it's
Well, you got the hot spot.
just reopened. Though.
Just reopened.
That hasn't been an option very long.
But it's coming back. So there's one. You got
Crooked Letter, which is where we're going after we record this.
Yes.
Kudos to those guys. They're trying to do it. It's not the largest place, but a lot of these places that we've mentioned over time aren't either. You know what I mean? And that it's plenty big enough, I should say.
Government Street Grocery. They're doing some.
Yes, and now that's a tiny place,
Yes.
but you're right. They're in there, and they do heavy music.
Juke Joint.
They do music, yes. Inside more than outside.
Right,
now.
absolutely.
They got
So,
some noise issues with the surrounding
And
neighborhood.
Thunders is trying to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's off the top of my head.
Right.
Unfortunately, you go into Gulfport, and I can't think of anything in Gulfport.
I'm not as familiar with that downtown area, right? But they're there. I can see the bar in my head. It's all in that little downtown area down there by like the half shell and stuff.
But none of them are doing rock or metal. They're all doing the covers and you got Fishbone Alley where they're doing the acoustic stuff and all that kind of stuff.
Which is super cool. That's
Yes,
a really badass idea. I haven't been able to make it out to that yet. But again, if there is, like you said, if there is bars on that Gulfport area down there that's catering to like more of a rock, metal, if you want to call it that, but rock, I don't know their name. So
right.
If it was there, I feel like I'd be seeing it on Facebook and stuff like that, people sharing it. The bands that I know around here haven't been talking about it. So.
Right. I mean, back when we were talking about, you had up north of I-10 on 49, you had Slippery Nicks, or at one point Patton Nicks, Slippery Nicks, and then it turned into something else after that.
You said North 49?
Yeah.
Yes, and then there was Nate's.
Now it's Nate. So Nate's was Slippery Nicks.
Okay.
So after Slippery Nicks, it became Nate's.
Okay.
And now it's the pub.
Okay.
So the pub and
there was also 2 miles north, if we're going to keep going down memory lane, which was 2 miles north of the exit on Highway 49.
You are correct. We did the
be
very first Fayard Fest there.
That's correct.
So
there may be is that a country bar now?
To be honest with you, I don't know.
I don't remember either.
I break out in hives when I go into Gulfport.
Yeah.
I'm a Biloxi boy.
That's right.
So
there was that place, short-lived, in Biloxi where you had the other Fayard Fest where we played.
The 151.
151.
Yeah, it's still...
It's not a bar.
It's not a bar,
it's
but
still
I mean,
there.
that building is still there.
Yep. But Katrina came through and changed a lot of shit. I mean,
they did.
Bombay Bicycle Club. Yeah. Did they do a lot of shows there?
They didn't really do a lot of shows. They may have done some stuff in the park. It was more known for the party place and and whatever you can get your hands on there. So
yeah, I remember hearing those rumors. What is there any other places that I'm leaving out from the old school that you can remember? What about? Was there a place called the Dive or like
there was the Dive in Ocean Springs?
Okay. What about the Double Deuce? Do you remember that place?
I don't personally remember that place. Yeah. I've heard of it, but I don't.
I think Chip Lechner ran that place for a little while, and I remember hearing him talk about it and Boyd talk about it. I was again never old enough to really go there to hear any of that. They had, but I think they had bands and shit.
And
there.
Then now we're talking when I was a teenager,
right?
Where the Biloxi substation is for the Biloxi Police Department now used to be the Crazy Horse Saloon. Yes,
right down here at the end.
No. On Pops Ferry Road, where they're building the new, where they have the fire department.
Yes,
and, right there used to be a place called Crazy Horse.
Really?
And ask Chris Noble.
Yeah.
Jennifer Noble. Ask Mike Myers. All of them. Those bands that they were in when they were young, and I mean not even 18, and just that's where they played.
That's where they played.
So you had
that one.
So you had those type of venues as well. So and those were gone before Katrina came around, but nothing replaced them. So they were gone, and then nothing that replaced them. So when you talk about Cuckoos, what's to stop?
Right.
What's to stop like a Woody's?
Yep.
Or some of these other places, or even like some of these condos, from throwing up a stage right there on the beach and just having a party.
That's right. I remember one time Treasure Bay did it. Nope. Was it Treasure Bay? Hold on, let me think. I want to make sure I got this right. I think it was what's the other one in Gulfport? What's the other one?
Island View?
Correct.
Copa, the Copa Casino?
It was Island View, and it may have even been before Katrina. I can't remember, but they had a stage in their parking lot, and I remember people were like in the parking garage looking down.
Better than Ezra.
Yep.
I was there. I went and saw Better than Ezra.
What
They've
year-
done that a
what
couple
year-
times.
What year would that have been?
Lord.
Pre or post Katrina?
Post Katrina.
Okay. I couldn't remember.
But yeah, so they did Better Than Ezra. They've done a couple of them out there. But once again, that was Better Than Ezra, and they didn't have anything local opening up.
Right.
I mean, Better Than Ezra technically is a New Orleans band.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah.
I lost my train of thought where I was going to go with that. I don't remember. Shit.
But anyways.
Yeah, anyway.
So, no, but what I'm saying is what's to stop a business that's on the beach now? You've got these restaurants that are on the beach.
Right.
What's to stop them from throwing up a stage in their parking lot?
Downtown Ocean Springs used to do a thing, too. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah, they did it like 1 year, and then it was done.
I think it was one or two, but yeah, you're right. I don't remember what that was called. But, I mean, music's still here. It's not like it's completely gone. It's not like it's completely dead. But I do feel like there's an opportunity, a void, whatever you want to call it, opportunity for us, I guess you'd say.
There's definitely a void.
Yeah.
There's definitely something or some things
Right.
missing to bring it back to even a part of what it used to be.
Snowball's articulated his point pretty well on a lot of that as far as if you're going to open up a venue for music, the economics have to work. People have to come out and you have to pay your overhead. You have to pay rent. You have to pay electricity. You have to pay employees and this, that, and the other thing.
So to give you a perfect example on that end, what we did with the sound was we rented out the Biloxi Community Center.
Yes.
We had to pay the cops. We had to pay the firemen. We had to buy the beer. We had to buy drinks. We had to pay the bands. And so some people were like, it's a $15 ticket for local bands.
Right.
Well, honestly, you're only paying $3 per band, but what we did, we had to pay the sound. We brought in
sound system.
Concert quality sound production.
Yep.
So it's not cheap. And everybody's like, well, we can go to this bar and it's only $5 to get in. Well, that's all fine and dandy. The bar has the building. The bar already has the liquor. The bar already has the beer.
That's
bar
right.
already has the employees.
That's right.
So they're already... That was a one-off. You're renting a building and making it happen.
And we're definitely not going to stop. I mean, we did that when we were able to not lose money, which was really good. So Kevin and I are already in talks to do the second one. We don't have the details nailed out yet, but we're kicking around a ton of ideas. But I just want to, I just love it. I love music and I love the local scene, and I especially love when we did do that, the show that we just did. I mean, there was no slouch on talent at all.
No, absolutely not.
You know what I mean? All of our worry and concern was economically based. It was not like we can't find any good bands.
We knew
we
knew the show was going to be good.
Right, and it was.
So
I just want to see that continue to be a part of like the Gulf Coast in a strong way, and I know you and I are doing our best to make that happen. So
I mean I challenge some of these bar owners or restaurant owners to step out on a limb one night and say, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to give it a shot.
Right.
And I'll be damned. What happens? It may work, and you may have started something.
Yeah.
But it's going to take more than just two guys going, hey, we're going to do this. It's going to take a few people to go, you know what, we're going to take a chance too. We're going to take a leap of faith. We hear these guys talking about it. We know the talent's there. Let's take a leap of faith and see if we can make it happen.
I'm willing to do the challenge of just the two of us right now.
No, I'm all about it. Trust me, I'm all about
it. But you're right. I mean, and I take that back because even the show that we did the other night was not just the two of us. Even though we were the ones putting it on, we had a lot of help from a lot of people to make that happen. And like you said, if there are any restaurants or business owners out there, if you're listening to this right now and you know first of all, if you're in a band, I want to hear your comments. I want to hear what you think. Drop them wherever you're at right now, Facebook or whatever. Let me know. But if you're a restaurant owner, or you know a restaurant, or you work a restaurant owner, or you work at a restaurant, tag them or let them know about it, because I want to keep that moving. I want to keep it moving forward. I want to keep putting on live music and live events. The Shed, we didn't mention them. They also do live music as well. A lot of good blues music too, which is another thing. I know both you and I love all types of music. It doesn't have to be just rock or heavier rock. I love blues. I love country music. There's a lot of country. We had Morgan Tyler on the show. We've had who else did we have? Was he the only country one?
No, we had Derek
Norsworthy. I mentioned him already.
Derek Norsworthy. Well, okay, so Derek and Morgan are the only ones true country that we've had on the show.
That's what I meant. So, yeah,
we've played a couple more, like Cole Jones and stuff like that. So, and then Hugh Humphrey.
Yep. Yeah, he played. I didn't hear it or anything, but I saw it on Facebook or whatever. The Julep Room.
Yes.
Damn it. I wouldn't hate to leave them those guys. That's actually one of my favorite places to go. I love that
As
place.
we're recording this, David Lynn's playing there tomorrow night, and David Lynn goes all the way back into the Friday Night Gigolos, which is early CPR Fest days.
You know what we didn't mention for the old school stuff was Mikey's on the Bayou. What was it called then?
Oh God, I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was called. But there was a lot of shows there back in the day.
Yep.
Pre-Katrina, as us Coast people, that's how we mark time.
Yeah,
pre-Katrina.
Pre-Katrina or post-Katrina?
That's right.
Post-Katrina. Oh, okay.
What are your? I have kicked this around already before, but what are your thoughts, moving forward? Like from 2019, where we are right now, moving forward. What do we need and what can we do? Because that's, again, we've already had this discussion because we're trying to do that.
Right, and I think it's going to be just what we were talking about a few minutes ago. There's going to need to be a couple people to take that leap of faith to say, you know what, I trust what's going on, and I trust what they're saying, and I trust what they're doing. We're going to give it a shot. Maybe, it does. I've always said it, and I always will say it. It's all about the music.
Yeah.
I don't care who does it.
Right.
I mean, I want to be a big part of it as much as I can be, but if somebody else does a show, I'm supporting you 100% because you're giving those guys the stage and the microphones to let their talent be heard.
I like your restaurant idea. I don't know if you and I have talked about that before. That's kind of a new approach. I'm not opposed to continue to do the we rent a place and do them there and build our little brand. As far as like CPR Fest has a brand. Do they still do those, by the way?
They haven't done it in a couple years.
Okay, because I was like, if they have, I've missed it somehow.
They're locally owned again.
I didn't know that.
So you never know.
Right.
I don't talk to them a lot anymore.
Yeah.
But,
I just meant as a just in
but
general.
But no, they don't do them in general. Gulfport Music Festival.
Yeah. What's the one I sent you? I don't even remember the name of. In September. That's going to be a good one.
So that's grilling or chilling on the coast.
Okay.
So I've reached out to them
to see if they can come talk to us.
See if they can come talk to us. See if we can go out there or whatever. But if you look at it, it's a lot of talent from around the region.
Right.
Cowboy Mouth, Bishop Gun. Help me out here. Magnolia Bayou. North Mississippi All-Stars.
Okay. Did I see the Molly Ringwalds on there?
Molly Ringwalds are the same night with Bishop Gun and Magnolia Bayou and Cowboy Mouth. So I think...
If you're listening to this and you want to see a good show, that's in September.
September 20th, 21st, and 22nd.
Man, go get your tickets now.
Yeah,
I need to look that.
So it's at Bicentennial Park. So Bicentennial Park now has a hotel.
Okay.
You can buy a room.
Okay.
During that. I want to say I saw where it was $179 a night.
Wow.
But that gives you early entry into the concert venue because you're already on the concert grounds. It gives you meet and greets with certain of the acts and stuff like that.
I missed all that. All I saw was the roster. I didn't.
No, I've been as soon as you sent it to me, I started typing in some stuff.
I'm gonna have to reinvestigate that.
I don't work as hard as you do apparently.
Yeah. Well.
I had some time and I'm just like, And then, of course, we were dealing with Budweiser, and Budweiser's involved with it, so I was able to get a little insight of what was going on and everything. So it's going to be a good event. It's going to be a really, really, really fun time, and they're trying to do a lot with that Bicentennial Park. I know there were rumors of another festival trying to go there. It's not going to happen this year. It may happen next year.
Okay.
So that Bicentennial Park, they're gonna try to do some good stuff there.
Well, that's good. Again, like that's what we're talking about right now. I mean, I hope that more venues, bars, restaurants, parks, whatever, throw these festivals, because it's just it's a good for the community, man, and it's good music. It's a good time.
I would love to see somewhere over here, because they didn't have the name they had until they did their first festival. And I would love to see one of the restaurants here say, you know what, we're going to do that. We're going to get sponsors. We're going to invest. Nobody even knew what the Hangout was until the Hangout Festival. Nobody.
That's the place over in Florida?
That's the one in Gulf Shores, right there at the end of, as soon as you hit the beach.
Yeah, I see it all the time.
Dude, have you ever been there?
No.
One of the best. They've got, so you walk into the gates. You got the restaurant. The restaurant overlooks the beach. They've got this big courtyard with another stage that they have the big party bands, kind of like your Whiskey Kisses and stuff like that, playing there on a regular basis. Then out on the beach is where they do the Hangout Festival.
On the beach?
Yeah, they put the stage up on the beach, and
wow.
it's just,
I mean, we got a row of restaurants like that could benefit tremendously from something like that.
Now, granted, our beach isn't as wide,
but still,
think about this. You have at the end of that restaurant row, you have that big grass lot that has nothing on it right now.
Yeah.
Why not put the stage there?
Why the hell haven't we been talking about this until just now? What the hell? Have you been sitting on this the whole time?
I've been sitting on that for a while.
Son of a bitch. Well, way to put it out on the recording.
There you go.
As the first way to debut it. And I think we briefly mentioned it, but the Crawfish Festival, that's another really good one.
Yes, the Crawfish Festival, the Coliseum does a great job with that.
And the fair, they have acts whenever they come through as well.
So we were talking about it the other day. I was actually DJing a wedding, and we were playing some country music, and somebody had mentioned the John Michael Montgomery, Life's a Dance, all that kind of stuff. And I went, wow, John Michael Montgomery. I said the first time I saw him was at the Crawfish Festival, on a little fold-out stage right across from Beauvoir. So you got Beauvoir, then you had Beauvoir Road, and right there is where the stage was, and John Michael Montgomery was playing. That was 92, 93 maybe.
Jesus.
And he was there off of his first single, which was Life's a Dance. Mm-hmm. And I told that story to somebody, and they went, you realize that was the very first Crawfish Festival? I said, nah, I had no idea. So that was the first Crawfish Festival, but 93, 94, 92, 93, somewhere in there. And now look what it is.
Yeah, it's huge.
And it's just
that little thing that we had that I went to in Ocean Springs, that crawfish competition. That was, I think, their first year doing that, and that was super awesome. Mm-hmm. They just need to add a little bit, in my opinion, add a little bit of music to that, and they've got something going on. Real legit. They already have something going on. That was cool to have that many people out there cooking crawfish. I thought it was super cool.
It's there.
Yeah,
it's there to be had.
We just got to fix it, Kevin.
It's got it. Something's got to click. Somebody, or two somebodies.
Two stupid somebodies who don't know any better to not do it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take.
Let's just throw it out there.
Let's wrap it up with this, because this was something that we talked about briefly at the beginning. You mentioned it. How have you never picked up or played an instrument as much as you are? Let me describe Kevin real quick first. Now, he worked at a radio station and was a DJ on the air for a few years. He's hosted many live events as far as like, hosting them, announcing the bands and whatnots. But you play music, Kevin. You know it. You can tell what's good and what's kind of just processed horse shit.
Right.
But you've never picked up any instrument whatsoever.
I'm not going to say that. In high school, I played the drums. So I played the snare drum. I played the snare drum so bad I ended up on the cymbals.
So this is in the marching band,
This
correct?
is in the marching band at Biloxi High my freshman year.
Did you join the band saying, I'm into music and I want to learn music? Or was it like I needed PE?
I needed an activity.
Right. You played football.
I didn't play football until after my freshman year. I was a sophomore in high school before I played football in school.
Ever?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
ever played football?
I played 1 year of Pee Wee.
Oh wow, that's jumping in the mix.
And so when I went into high school, so in junior high or middle school at that time, not junior high, middle school, I was in the band for Fernwood Middle School. And then I went straight into the band into high school. Sucked horribly.
Okay.
I mean, bad. I mean, I probably should have just been holding somebody's drums instead of even hitting the cymbals. I couldn't get the timing right on that. So after that, but I played a lot of sports. I played soccer and all of that kind of stuff. And soccer, I kind of led me into knocking somebody down, and the linebacking coach saw me and said, "You're going to go play football next year. You're going to quit the band." And I went, "Okay, well, I suck at the band anyways, so it couldn't be any worse going to play football."
Right.
So that's where it always went down. And I love music. I can't dance.
Okay. You do DJ.
I do DJ. I mean, I do have some timing to be able to do stuff like that and all that, but I guess if I was ever going to try to play anything, and I've said it several times, would be the bass guitar.
Well, what the hell are we waiting on?
There's only 4 strings
There's
on
only
that
4 strings. So what are you waiting on?
Just doing it.
You got to do it.
I know
you got to do it.
It's just like on. So now I'm going to do a cheap plug. I do have another podcast called The Bench
I'll
Warmer.
be damned. He plugs that show on the sound every time, and you're gonna do it on this one.
So,
Jesus, that's a talent.
I had the guys from Crooked Letter CrossFit on the show, and they
God.
were like, all it takes is to walk in.
Right. Same thing with the bass guitar. Just
bass
pick
guitar.
it up.
But see,
you could have made that
I'm
reference without plugging your show.
I'm left-handed.
So what? They
so
make left-handed
I know.
basses.
I just got to. I guess it's Taylor. If you're listening, let's talk.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but yeah,
let's get him hooked up.
I
on
think
a
it
nice,
would just be fun to, like I said,
tinker around.
Just being a part of it, and to be able to play would make me understand it even more.
That's right, and appreciate things, hear things that you maybe never have heard before.
So I guess my looking at it, if I was going to be able to compare myself to anything or anybody in a band, it would have to be the lead singer. Because I can get on a mic and talk.
Yeah.
I can't sing worth a damn. I've tried it. Drunk karaoke.
There you go.
Cats meow.
What
Kryptonite.
Yeah, you need to do that. You need to get the bass. Me, you, and Boyd are going to start a cover band.
There we go.
And you can be the bass player. But yeah, well, I think we've covered it. That's what I wanted to jam about, talk about. But we have a nice music scene down here with a ton of talent, and we're doing as best we can. Kevin and I, like I said, we've mentioned it a few times when he wasn't plugging his other show, is that we do the sound, and that is a podcast as well. That is a video live stream show as well. You can check it out on Facebook. Just search The Sound or The Sound 228. It's also on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and all the whatnots. But that's the reason why I haven't been putting out as many of these as I would like to, and that I'm going to work on and try to get better at doing. But I said to hell, Kevin, let's get in here and let's talk the Biloxi music scene, Gulf Coast music scene on Brown Water Banter, and I can get another episode out.
Another thing I would like to see while we're just talking about it.
Go ahead.
They got this big stage or this big grassy lot over here before the Biloxi Shuckers games. What's wrong with throwing a stage down and letting the band play?
Are you talking about in the park?
No, not in the park. Right out, pregame.
Oh.
Let them set up, play for 30 minutes before the gates open or an hour before the gates open when people are just standing around bored and sweating their whatever's off.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Shuckers, if you're listening, let's get some music going.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. If you stuck with us throughout the whole thing, you can find Brown Water Banter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, the whole whatnots, Podbeam.
He has a new kick-ass logo, so go check that out too.
Oh, yes, I do have a new logo. But if you could, leave some comments below. Let us know what you thought, man. I always love to hear from y'all. Thanks again.